You're listening to No Plot, Only Lore, a podcast about games and the tables we play them at. Your DMs tonight and every night are Josh and Chris. You can find us on all podcast platforms or check us out at noplotonlylore.com. If you like what you hear today, please rate and review the show and share it with everyone you've ever met.
Welcome back to No Plot Only Lore, this week brought to you in beautiful Technicolor.
I'm 3D!
Are you, though?
No, I am single-dimensional. There's no depth to me.
Fantastic. We finally decided to get on the video train. We're gonna become YouTube stars.
Yeah, I have the
YouTube
face for radio. No, I briefly flirted with YouTube fame like 15 years ago. In that I had 2 decently viral videos that circulated on Something Awful.
Wow, that has taken it back.
Yeah. Back when Something Awful existed, and it was me and a guy from Calgary eating really stupid hamburgers that were created when there was this, like, I don't want to say trend, but this, like, recurring thing of restaurants putting up burger customization tools on their website. And so...
was this, like, kind of the same era as, like, Nun Pizza with left beef?
Kinda, yeah. Thinking now, that's probably more than 15 years ago, which is... yeah. But anyways, so the first was Burger King put one up and someone created what they called the Noah's Ark burger, which is, I think, pretty self-explanatory from the name, like 2 of every animal. And so...
How many animals?
A lot of animals.
Okay. I'm assuming like chicken and beef.
It was every possible meat filling that you could find on their menu, duplicated and then put into a burger, including like fish and bacon and the different like types of burger patty. So he did it in Calgary and put his up first on the forums, and then I saw that and was like, well, if someone from Calgary is doing it, I have to do it better, because he complained and said it tasted like rubber bands and his video quality was poor and he didn't really finish it. So I got some people together and we went to a Burger King here. I ordered the same thing and managed to get it all down. Regretfully,
it was the implication that it was actually tasting an awful lot like rubber bands.
It was. I didn't find it tasted like rubber bands, but it did just taste like a lot of hot grease, which I think might have been the problem. Is that his grease was bad, like stale or whatever happened. So that probably impacted things a lot. So he saw it. We went back and forth a little bit and decided to. Later, Red Robin put up a tool where someone created what they called the Onion Infinite Burger, which had a bunch of different onion things. And the idea was, the infinite part was that it was a recursive burger. So the center layer of the burger was another copy of that burger. So we got together and our plan was to... The way we could order it is basically like we got 2 burgers of all of like the components and then stuck one inside the other and ate that. I brought along some like skewers that we use to hold it all together. That one was it was more fun to film because there was like an audience, because like a couple of cooks from the back came out and were like, what the hell is going on?
I appreciate that the people at Red Robin were like, somebody is up to some fuckery.
Yeah. And they thought it was funny. Like, they're like, oh, this is great. So Rob tried to eat his rotisserie style, which I thought was a really weird choice for a burger. But I also knew like he was at the time at best half my size. And I was me. So I did actually finish it because it tasted really good. Because for those of you who don't know, Red Robin was like a good burger chain. They're not around here anymore, but not
I
here.
I remember Robin like just down the street from me.
Yeah, like Alberta was just like not for us. But there is a place now called the Varsity that just took their old location and does everything exactly the same, just a new company name.
Fantastic.
But yeah, they were good burgers.
The Burger King one. Yeah, I was thinking when you were talking about the Burger King one that the best place to do that, and also the worst place to do that, would be Arby's.
Oh, well, first of all, they're not burgers. But yeah, like because you can order the Meat Mountain from there.
Is there a thing called a Meat Mountain? I haven't been in an Arby's.
I think if you go up and order the Meat Mountain, so I've been probably every like 6 months or so, because I used to live like a block away from one, and like their curly fries are good. They're just good. So I don't
the entire idea of going to an Arby's every 6 months sickens me.
No, I always got the they did a Montreal smoked meat, like a Reuben type thing. That was actually like really good. So yeah, every once in a while my kids would be like, oh, let's go, get some. Like, don't get me wrong, their cheap stuff is the cheapest. Like the cheesy sauce that's on like the beef and sheds or whatever it's just plastic. They took like Kraft singles and melted down the whole thing. So I wouldn't recommend that at any point, but they have some items on there that are passable. But yeah,
there was a recipe that I was looking at today that required a pound of American cheese, and I was like, where do you buy that by the pound?
So I will say, you can get from like Costco has their like business side, but you can buy like American cheese that comes in like a large, it's like a 2-pound block where like the slices are like, it's like a loaf of bread made of American cheese. And then the slices are just like long horizontal slices that are like a foot long each. But no.
That would be great for sandwiches.
Sure. Which is their intent. But no home cook should be buying that much American cheese.
It was for some sort of like dipping sauce, like a cheesy dipping sauce. So
just use cheese. It's not that hard to make cheese sauce.
I think they were trying really hard to avoid a roux.
Why? Like,
I don't know.
You have milk, you have flour, you have butter. Like, you can make a bechamel and just throw grated real cheese in there.
The fact that you've said bechamel just lost so many people.
Sorry. You're right. Yeah, no, it's my fault. Like, I used to cook I still cook a lot, but like I used to, once upon a time, like right out of high school, for a hot minute, I thought I was going to be a chef.
Same.
But yeah, I tried. I genuinely did, and the industry was just not for me. But I know how to cook things. So
yeah, the thing that got me out of cooking was cooking for people that I didn't know.
Yeah,
like,
fair.
I love cooking for people. I love cooking for people that I do know, and like you've been to a couple of my like Christopher Feeds Everyone events where I just like make a ridiculous amount of food and feed everyone I've ever met. But like putting my heart and soul into making like a perfectly well like cooked medium rare steak and having somebody send it back to me saying that it's like too raw. And so I throw it on the grill for a couple more seconds, send it back out. It comes back again because now it's too well done. And they're just trying to get a free steak. I cannot handle that. I get so mad.
That's fair. I mean, have you seen Chef, the movie?
Yeah.
Like it resonates in a lot of ways. My friends, I have a couple of friends who have tried to make the culinary world their career. One has basically, like he worked his way up through some of the better restaurants in town, but has gone independent now and kind of does his own thing. And that's what allows him to not go crazy, is that he's like, you're coming to me for what I do. Like, I don't have to accommodate you. And then the other one just gave up and became a teacher. So, but he teaches food. So
I gave up on the cooking world entirely. The two movies, if you want to watch two movies that really capture what it is to work in restaurants, Chef and Waiting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like very opposite ends of that spectrum, but like waiting is possibly the most authentic version of working in like a normal restaurant that I've ever seen.
With the exception of all the ball sack stuff, yeah, it's pretty accurate.
When I was working in restaurants, there was a weird amount of ball sack.
There was zero in mine, but I always worked at like fairly corporate places, so
I never did. No, all of my work was like I worked at a casino for a little bit, and that was incredibly corporate. And the other restaurants that I worked at were all very like homegrown. The people who are working there are the kids of the people that own there.
Yeah. That's fair.
Do you know what one of my favorite moments in all of role-playing game history is?
In all of role-playing game history?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of actual moments that matter in role-playing game history. I don't know, was it the release of 4th edition?
No.
Oh.
No, it wasn't. One of my favorite points of history in role-playing games ever is Wizards of the Coast, a tiny little production company out of Renton, Washington, put out a book that said that it would let you convert characters from one system to another system.
Oh.
And they had the gall to say that one of the systems that you could do this with was Palladium Fantasy.
Yeah, we all know they're super chill over at the Palladium.org or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, like, part of it is that, like, I kind of understand where Simbeta and co. were coming from, in that, like, when you have a trademark, and it's a relatively weak trademark, to be honest, you have a legal responsibility to defend it.
Well, with any trademark, you have to show defense of it, or otherwise you'll lose it.
Yeah, and in the case of like weaker trademarks, if you don't do that at all, there's a very good chance that you're not going to be able to stand up in court the next time it happens, or the next time somebody does something more egregious. And so, yeah, they went pretty litigious on it, and Wizards of the Coast had to stop production on all of their role-playing game stuff while this lawsuit was going on. And so Peter Adkinson went to visit his friend and math professor and asked if there were any games that he had kicking around on the back burner that he could maybe do while this like lock was on.
Yeah.
And his math professor, Richard Garfield, said, yeah, I've been working on a thing.
Just a little thing.
Just a little thing.
Just a casual thing. Casually invented one of the most perfect game designs ever.
Yeah. So he gave Peter Adkinson Magic the Gathering, and then Magic the Gathering made all the money.
And continues to make all of the money.
And continues to make a significant portion of money. And from the money that they got from that, after the lawsuit was done, so they settled out of court.
Sure.
Wizards of the Coast had to pay an undisclosed amount of money to Palladium, and I don't recall if there was like a public apology or like a retraction or anything that came out of that, but there was some sort of like deal that they made, and then Wizards of the Coast was allowed to make role-playing games again, so they just bought Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh. Okay, that seems like a... So they're just like, hey, we like this, let's just own it?
Sort of, like TSR as a company. So like early Dungeons and Dragons, when we're talking like the like second edition stuff that was coming out, were like right in the tail end of the Satanic Panic in the 1980s, 1990s. The brand isn't doing well, right? Like the sales are down. There's a bunch of like mismanagement that's happening on the business level. They're not making any money. And so Peter Adkinson and Wizards of the Coast were able to make a deal for like low millions. I want to say it was $1 million.
That still seems like a lot for the time.
Oh, yeah. This was like
Yeah.
late 90s. So like $1 million was like lottery type money, right? Like
Right.
it was huge, but it was nothing compared to what they were making off of Magic.
True.
Right? Like,
Because at that point, it had been like, what, 6-7 years, and they're just raking in money from it?
yeah, like Peter had to start stuffing his mattress with it because like the banks wouldn't take his money anymore. It was just like, that's so much fucking money. And yeah, so he'd always been a big fan of Dungeons and Dragons and just bought TSR and got them out of the debts that they were in and started making Dungeons and Dragons, and that was a big deal. But one of the interesting like fallout pieces of that for me is that because Palladium was so like stringent on that trademark,
Sure.
there was an internal push to do something a little different.
Okay.
And I think, and I can't speak for like their team or their legal team or the like direction that they went in from that. I personally think that experience, getting the pants suit off of them for like mentioning another role-playing game system, is what prompted Wizards of the Coast to create the Open Gaming License.
Gotcha. At least that version of the OGL. Yeah.
Yeah, like the earliest version of the OGL, where it was like, because you got to keep in mind, like the OGL was revolutionary.
Yeah.
Nobody else was doing it.
Yeah.
Right? Like you had some stuff in like the software sphere for like open source programming and stuff, but like nowhere near the level of just like, we have put together an agreement that you can use swaths of our IP to make your own thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was a huge deal, and I think it contributed quite a bit to the incredible popularity of third edition D&D.
I mean, I would still say it's probably the second most popular out of everything they've done.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you consider that like Pathfinder is still making bank, although they've moved to a bit more of a fourth edition thing and made a bunch of people very mad.
Good.
Yeah. No, but like the OGL was huge because it meant that like everybody who was making fan stuff, all the people who were making like, I made a dungeon in my basement and it's great and I should be able to publish it. Now you just fucking can.
Yeah, you just throw it on Drive-Thru RPG and it gets buried a week later.
Well, I mean, at the time it was also just like a lot of like print press stuff.
Yeah.
And like you couldn't walk into a games shop without seeing a wall of OGL material.
Yeah. I mean, I have some on the shelf behind me right now, like that from like the current stuff where it's just like, by the way, right on the back it just says like 5e, like it's compatible with this. Just do what you want.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I actually remember like early in my like game design experiences, I was talking to one of the guys who ended up working in Wizards of the Coast, UK, Scott Earl. And he had put together a game called Slay Industries with some friends of his. And eventually Wizards of the Coast bought them out. And I was talking to him before the buyout, and I was like, so this is what I'm thinking about doing with my game. I have like my own system that I'm working on. And he's like, whoa, hold up. Why would you make anything that isn't a D20 game?
Yeah.
Right, there's absolutely no reason for you to make a game that isn't third edition compatible right now. If you're not making third edition right now, it's crap.
Makes sense.
So yeah, they took over the world. And then they hated it.
Yeah.
Really diluted the market, made it so that there was so much stuff available, and then there were a couple of companies that figured out a fun little loophole. I remember the one that I first saw that I thought was like, this is going to change the game was the folks at Guardians of Order, who made like the Big Eyes Smallmouth game.
Yeah.
Were commissioned to make a D20 compatible version of a Song of Ice and Fire.
Mm-hmm.
And they had figured out that if you just replace the character creation rules, you don't have to cite them.
Oh.
You don't have to... Yeah, because like the part of the way that the OGL worked was that you could make your own stuff, but for all of the character creation stuff, you had to go through the 3 core books. Right? Okay. So anything that was going on in the 3 core books, character classes, feats, all of that stuff, had to be referenced back to the D&D main books.
Right.
But if you just replace it all...
Yeah, I mean...
With a different system.
It's devious.
Right? And so a bunch of people figured that out, and they started putting out their own books, and Wizards of the Coast started seeing their sales drop. I mean, part of it, I think, was also just, like, glut. Like, there was so much D&D 3.5 out there that, like, you didn't need more core books.
Sure.
They'd already gone through the core books that they were going to sell. So part of the 4th edition push, part of the 4th edition revival, was to scale back that open gaming license in a big, big way.
Right. And so
this is like what you jumped on.
Yeah, like I hopped in 4th because I'd seen... Well, I think the scaling back was actually what appealed to me. Because like I'd been D&D adjacent for years, and I just saw book after book after book. I'm like, God, I want to try this out, but there's so much out there. I don't know where to start. I don't know where I'm going with it. It seems like I can't just buy the basic 3 books and go along with it, because nobody I ever saw play it pulled out the basic 3. They're just like, well, here's this other supplemental, here's this other thing I'm using. And then with the release of 4th edition, I was like, oh, well, I can start fresh like everybody else and be on the same page, right? Yeah. And then mechanically, there was all the stuff that I liked about it. And people, even early on, made the, like, WoW accusation that, like, oh, this is just, like, you know, WoW on tabletop. And at the time, I was a big WoW player. So I was like, oh, great, perfect. Like, I know all this stuff. I'll do that.
So jumping ahead a little bit, this was something that I kind of wanted to talk to you about today. Is like we've been looking at Orcus, which is like the 4th edition OGL version thing that we're going to talk about in a bit. One of the things that I've noticed going through that book is that it feels a lot less like World of Warcraft, and I think a lot of it has to do with the visual design.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, the visual design, because like, what is the phrase they use? WoW is everything is a heroic scale. So big head, big shoulders, make the armor look like pop from a distance through the use of the shoulders and the shoulder like plates. But everything in this, people seem, I don't want to say they're like skinny, but they're like a little more lithe and agile and grounded than like, oh, my tank is actually like a tank. Yeah. Not everybody is dwarf scale, you know?
Yeah, that isn't even really the visual design that I'm thinking, though. Like, the stuff that I'm thinking about is, like, the color coding of abilities. Right? Like, you look at an at-will and you know that it's an at-will because of the color of the box that it's in.
Yep.
And everything was, like, very clean and clear with straight lines, easy to read, easy to grok. And I think that, like, as a designer, as somebody who has dealt with, like, bad visual design before, 4th edition is brilliantly put together for people to very quickly understand what's going on. And I think that may have, like, rubbed some people the wrong way.
Which I don't understand. I mean, like, all they really did was, like, add some clarity to, like, how often should I expect to be using these things? Like, you know, your at-wills were green, your encounters were red, and your dailies were gray. Like, the stuff that you should use a lot was popped out at you. And
I think
it made, like, so 4th edition put out a ton of content, like, as far as, like, options and character building stuff, right? Because of sort of the necessity of, like, the system that they designed that they utilized like powers for everything, right? So they had to give you lots of options for powers because that's just how it worked. And so every time you got a new one, it was much easier to just quickly scan through the list of what was coming based on color and like, oh, cool. I know I'm like, this is going to be maybe a more powerful thing I can take, but I'm going to use it less often, right? So it made decision making super clean. Like if I was like, oh well, I've got tons of utility for the fights right now, maybe I'll just get something that I use once a day for a big boss. It was like, okay, cool, there you are, right? And then it was like, it even broke up like the way the character progressed, because you knew like, oh, I get at wills now, you know, encounters later, dailies after that, and you can sort of see, just scanning through the list of powers for your class, this is how I expect to progress. So I'm going to have to lean on this power for this amount of time, and then this is when I'm going to get to upgrade it, right?
There's actually kind of an interesting parallel that happens with like 3rd edition to 4th edition to 5th edition, and that's the shift in iPhone design, where when 3rd edition was big, they were very big into what's called skeuomorphic design.
Okay.
And that's design that's meant to look like another thing, right? So your icon doesn't just have like a compass in like a flat relief on it. It's supposed to look like a compass, right? So it has like a very realistic compass on it, and it like breaks the frame a little bit. And that was very, very big when 3rd edition was around. And then slowly they started moving to a flat design where everything is like icons instead of like a picture of a thing, right? So when you open up your notes app, instead of being like lined piece of paper that you're typing onto in like a handwriting type font, it's just like a white screen with a text font with like a serif on it.
Gotcha.
And the design difference there, like if you look at the 2 editions of D&D side by side, they kind of follow that same like pattern where like the skeuomorphic stuff, everything's supposed to look like another thing. You've got like hand-drawn diagrams of weapons on like paper that's meant to look a little aged, and then you move to 4th edition and it's like clean, white, big green box, right? All of it is very like cleanly designed, and I think like that there's like something subconscious there, I think, that suggests digital, and I think that might have like pushed a bit towards the fourth edition is WoW direction.
Right, because the people coming from 3rd were still very much like pen and paper is the way that you play these games.
And it should look like pen and paper, right? Like my book should look like somebody drew this with a pencil.
Gotcha.
So, no, I think that that's really interesting, because like going through Orcus, it doesn't feel like that.
No.
Right? It has a very different like visual aesthetic attached to it, both in like the illustration side of it and the like visual design part.
It's funny you said that, because like when I looked at it, my first instinct was like, this seems like unpolished, right?
It looks
which is like, which is like, maybe that's intentional though. Like they don't want it to look too polished, because then you're Apple and you're not, you know, our good old fashioned guys sitting at a table, right? It's now you're the fancy thing, not the classic thing, which is never. We've talked so many times about the fetishization of vintage and you know, nostalgia that.
Well, and I think like part of it is probably unintentional, because it is like these are not professional designers, right? Like
they are amateurs, like
yeah, and that's fine. Like it's a really good product considering the level of polish that they're able to put onto it, right? Like these are people who I assume have full-time jobs, right? So like the fact that they were able to put out a product at all, I think is a miracle. But
don't get me wrong, I appreciate what they're doing, but at the same time though, I my feeling is that it's kind of like, yeah, the heavy lifting was already done. Like
yeah. Okay, so let's get back to the OGL stuff for a second.
Okay.
So 4th edition, part of what they changed, part of what they made happen in 4th edition is that, so the 3rd edition, you could just make whatever the hell you wanted, right? Like as long as you were citing the rules, you could make whatever the hell you wanted. And that led to a couple of products that Wizards of the Coast was not super keen on. Like the Book of Carnal something or other, right? Like
that's my first thought.
Yeah, sex book, right? You have the weird kink book, and there's nothing you can do about it because you just let people make whatever you want. And so part of what they did is make an application process.
Oh yeah.
So you actually had to like apply to Wizards of the Coast to get a permission
A
slip
license.
to make your thing.
You had to get a license to do the thing.
You had to get a license to do the thing. And that killed the third-party market very much intentionally, I feel. The big players in that realm, your Green Ronins, still felt a hit from it because they had to change their processes and they weren't able to put out as many products, and there was a bottleneck now on it. But your 15th grade press, I have put out 3 splat books. All of them were terrible and used third-party art that I got from Fiverr. Those just disappeared.
Fiverr, the ChatGPT of the early internet.
You know what? At least Fiverr's people.
Yeah, at least it is people. But it was what's the cheapest way I could just get someone to make my idea real?
We're going to go back to AI. That's a conversation we have to have soon. I said some things in that AI episode that I regret real bad.
I was right. I was right again.
You were right about everything, as you always are. Yeah. The 4th edition backlash was huge. Not just because of the OGL stuff, not just because of the new application process and the death of the third party, but just because people didn't like the game.
Yeah, and they're wrong. It's fine and good. It's just different.
Yep. And we're starting to see a nostalgic revival of that kind of role playing game. Lancer is incredible, and it's definitely got 4th edition bones in it. With you've got powers that you're using on a fairly regular basis. It has to be played on a battle grid. That was another thing that people really didn't like about 4th edition, is that you had to have a grid.
4th edition was very much Theater of the Mind is gone. It's just dead. We want to sell you the miniatures, and we want to make sure that you buy the ancillary products to make the battlefield happen, which I was already on board with because I like accoutrement when it comes to my games. I buy all the little upgrades and widgets and whatnot. But
you've been playing Warhammer for a minute too, so minis were not a weird place for you to be.
No, not at all. But I was playing the D&D miniatures game before I was playing D&D. I was buying D&D miniatures just to play their war game, right? But I don't get so. There was a series I'm not going to mention because the creator's problematic. But seeing what they thought was D&D, where it was literally just we're going to put some miniatures in the middle of the table just so you know what this looks like, but every other part of combat is just going to be we'll figure it out, was so clunky and foreign and weird for me. And it felt here's what it felt like. It felt like the power dynamic was in favor of the DM, and his ability to sort of maybe not fully explain things to you unless you asked. And 4th edition took that power, put it in the hands of the players, and was you were going to make the decisions about how this encounter resolves because you have more tactical control.
Yeah, and I think tactical is very much the descriptor for it.
Yeah.
It is a tactical miniature war game with a role-playing game kind of tacked onto it. And I think that really worked for the game that it was.
Yeah.
It did not work for a lot of people.
Sure.
It's when we started to see the old school Renaissance really take off. People were not keen on the tactical war game aspects of it. They were disparaging all of the minis and the World of Warcrafts and all of that nonsense, and they really wanted to go back to good old brass tacks D&D. And so we got D&D next.
Yeah. So I think part of the problem too is I know they compare it to World of Warcraft, and I don't think World of Warcraft is the right specific computer game to compare it to, but I do think computer game might be the right place to look for some of the inspiration. If you played the classic Fallout games 1 and 2, or just a lot of those isometric RPGs that cropped up on PC games from about like 95 to 2005. I played a lot of different ones, and it definitely was like, hey, the fights and the character like progression side of it is more central to the gameplay than the narrative or whatever. Like there's obviously, like Fallout being the one of the classic examples, there are always those games that have really good narratives that you want to like dig into and explore and find these things, but they're less like, obviously they are driven by character choices and your choices as a player, but they're a little more like on rails and less like freeform in the way that you handle them. I think that's what the 3 and 3.5 people, especially like the old school people, were really missing, was that their idea of creativity was replaced. Right? Like,
it's funny that you mention Fallout, because Fallout is just built on GURPS.
Yeah.
So it's just like a digital version of a Steve Jackson game, and it's brilliant. Honestly, I think if you take any Steve Jackson game and you just let a computer run it, the system is fantastic. You kind of have to do that to make it playable, but no, I really appreciated Fallout when it came out, because I had been playing GURPS at the time as well. But
and I went the other direction. I started with Fallout and have no idea what GURPS is.
The fact that we're at a place where, like, because like D&D gave us Final Fantasy, right? Like without D&D, Final Fantasy wouldn't have existed.
Sure.
And then there's like an entire genre of computer and console role-playing games that has spawned out of that. And then it's gotten to the point where the designs in those are so keyed in that role-playing games are starting to borrow back.
Yeah.
And that's good. That is a good thing for the genre. That's a good thing for design. If you have good stuff, steal it.
I think it's an inevitable cycle. Like it's you're going to go back and forth between the two. I mean, you know, the early role-playing games informed the early PC role-playing games, you know, and then like Planescape Torment or like Neverwinter Nights, like these things were just straight up D&D things, and then they had to innovate for different reasons, and then people who were playing tabletop stuff are like, oh well, that's actually an interesting mechanism. I bet you I can make that work on tabletop. And like they just go back and forth between each other, right? Like,
it's actually really too bad that we didn't get like a Neverwinter Nights style game in 4th edition, because like the game is so perfectly keyed for tactical combat.
I would have played the heck out of it. Just because it was familiar. The only reason I didn't play more Neverwinter Nights and Baldur's Gate stuff was because 3.5 was impenetrable to me, and I wound up playing like games like Arcanum and Fallout because at least it was new, and they knew that they had to communicate more directly to me how to like those earlier games felt like there was a level of knowledge you had to bring in with you. Like you kind of understood the system already, so then you could make good decisions, but none of those things applied to, Arcanum and Fallout.
So then 5th edition happened.
And then 5th edition happened.
And 5th edition is kind of in an interesting place for like the licensing stuff, because there is a version of the OGL that is around, but they took some of the lessons from the original OGL and made it so that you can't make like sexually explicit content. And like there isn't an application process for the license anymore, but like the part of the issue I think is just trust, right? Like people do not trust Wizards of the Coast to not fuck with the agreement.
Well, they already tried to. Like we went through that whole thing 2 years ago. Like they tried. And then everyone said, hell no. And we're still living in a world that's working through the repercussions of that. I mean, Daggerheart would not exist without them fucking with the OGL. Straight up.
Well, and something that we didn't even really touch on is that when 4th edition came out, that's when the Pathfinder thing happened. Right? Like, the folks at Paizo had been working directly with the people at Wizards of the Coast to put out Dungeon and Dragon magazine, and like R.I.P. Dungeon and Dragon, because his magazines were great, but they were kind of like sideswiped by the change. I'm sure they had a bit of like insider knowledge, but Wizards of the Coast basically came out and said, yeah, no, we're going to take that in-house. We're switching to a completely different version of D&D that you guys don't know yet. And good fucking luck, I guess. And so they took their ball on their bat and they went and made a new company that just continued to make 3.5 D&D.
I mean,
we're very keen on that.
As much as I think it's kind of stupid from like a business perspective, like I still never think it's a great idea to make your business based on someone else's business, like, and kind of beholden to them. Like, there are a lot of like accessory companies that exist that I feel are different than like what these supplemental companies were, because like nobody needs like card sleeves or life counters and stuff like that for Magic, but without Magic those things wouldn't have existed. But now they become like their own thing that crosses game systems. If you're like, I make accessories specifically for Magic the Gathering and only at their like goodwill, I feel like that's like a
zombie token that has a 1/1 printed on it.
Yeah,
it is.
Like, I think it was just kind of dumb for them to hitch. I think you should always assume that the business that you are leeching on, leeching is the wrong word, but like that you are symbiotic with might turn hostile at any minute, you know? And
I don't have a lot of knowledge about like the beginnings of Paizo.
Right.
Like I don't know where exactly they came from or how they came to get the Dungeon and Dragon license. I would have to do some research on that. Now I'm gonna, because I'm curious.
Yeah.
But I do wonder if maybe they were part of Wizards of the Coast at one point and they just kind of like spun off on their own thing at some point, because that is something that I have seen sometimes where like a big company will just like spin off a little company that's doing its own thing and just kind of leave it to its own devices. I don't know if that's the case here, because I think Wizards of the Coast would have owned the controlling share in Paizo, in which case them leaving wouldn't have worked the same way. They would have had to like quit and start their own company or something. But now I have to look it up.
If that was the case, they still should have the impetus to like actively start trying to make your own thing. Like, okay, so news this week: designer Cole Worley is leaving Leader Games. Cole has been the lead design for Root, Oath, Arcs, big games. Like Root's huge, and he. So it seems like the leaving is amicable. Leader Games actually sold Oath and Arcs to the new company that he's making, and he's still working on new content for Arcs. But if he started his new company and spent half of his time continuing to just like make supplemental stuff for Root, like I would almost be like in favor of that company failing.
That's fair.
Like if your only existence is to just like sponge, come on, man. Like you're not only are you in a weak position when they inevitably like staunch that bleeding, but what are you doing creatively? Like make your own thing, do your own stuff. I don't know.
We had more to talk about. I think we're gonna have to like wrap this up, and maybe we should like talk about Orcus again at another time.
I think we need to talk more directly about Orcus, because I'm actually kind of excited about it, because the OSR has finally caught up to something that I care about. If you just wait long enough, the OSR will hit your version of a thing that's old school. So, but like I'm excited for them to... I understand that Orcus is just 4th edition with the numbers filed off, and they're like, hey, it's fully compatible. Meanwhile, they're just like, by the way, literally in the book, it's like, oh, a priest is a cleric. Like, right? What I'm excited about is that them now putting a name to, like, because I could always just play 4th edition if I wanted to. It's tough to get new people into it. To be like, hey, I like this old thing better. Can you buy the books? No. But now there is a thing where I can be like, hey, I'm actually playing this. I have all this other supplemental stuff that is essentially just homebrew for me. But here's this thing you can go get new stuff for, and they're making new stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I think that excites people more, is that, oh, like I can be part of new things and get new content and not just live in the past, right?
Well, and as a
so
designer,
I'm stoked for it.
The thing that brought Orcus to my attention is that one of the one-page RPGs that I put together really wanted a big crunchy system attached to it, right? Like it's a game that is about system, and you need to have a system that is actually like worth fucking around with for that. And so Orcus is very exciting for me because I love 4th edition D&D, and 4th edition is full of that crunch.
Yeah.
And I want to fuck around with it.
Me too. I mean, I did not get to play as much 4th edition as I wanted to because life, but I still, like, to this day, occasionally pick up, like, Primal Power or something like that. I'm like, oh man, I would have loved to have been able to, like, invest into a campaign enough to, like, hit this Paragon path or this Epic Destiny and try out some of these cool, crunchy options that just
fucking Paragon paths.
Sit
like
there.
The fact that there's a name for that is so cool. God damn it, I liked 4th edition.
their 3-tier system of, like, this is how characters progress, and this is, like, you start with really broad strokes of what an archetype does, and then you start narrowing it down to these cool little individual things is so great. And the fact
super
that they
fucking broken though.
Oh, of course. But you're literally like the level of gods and able to do godlike things. But they also, like, with all those Epic Destinies, they all still felt like it's like the Warhammer thing, where it's like if everything's broken, nothing's broken. Everyone got to do a broken thing in a unique and different way, which I loved.
Other than, like, those assholes on the internet that are like, I broke this power, so you don't have to. Here's how you can build a guy that can kill God at level 4.
You don't need those guys because Epic Destinies were all about, like, hey, we broke our own game, so you don't have to.
That's where I'm killing it. Hey, thanks for making it all the way through this episode of No Plot Only Lore. If you're looking for more, you can always find us at noplotonlylore.com and on all the very best podcast platforms. If you like what you heard today, please share, rate, and review the show to feed my never-ending need for attention and validation.